Hey y'all, loved ones, family, friends, and fools. Hey, this is part two of the video that I started today about the shadow. I wanted to bring the light of awareness to the shadow. I wanted to bring the shadow into the light of illumination and the light of awareness. And um, working through and sifting through and playing in and playing into and working with and working through all this business of my individuation, my integration, my self development, my self realization, and sharing it with you because it is an empowering practice for me, like to share my own voice, to share what I've been going through, what I've been experiencing, what I've been seeing into, looking through, and yeah, to expand and widen my own perspectives and views, and yeah, just to share my own truth and to encourage all others to share their stories, their voices, their truth, their ways of healing, their ways of being, and their experiences, stories, and yeah, whole ways of being through our whole ways of being. Um, we're not separate from each other, and we're not separate from life. We're not separate from the light. We're not separate from darkness. And so let's reclaim that and let's reintegrate that. And I've been doing some practice with the tarot, and there is an alchemical spread. And the first position for this spread is called the self. It's the unifying principle within the psyche, the totality that embraces both conscious and unconscious. Through the self, we make contact with our anima and animus. We confront our shadow, which needs reintegration. And so, how can we reintegrate or integrate something that we're not aware of? And like, we can become aware. We can become aware and reclaim those parts and reclaim our power that we have given away, or that we have neglected, or that we have forgotten and rejected or denied about ourselves, and been taught to surrender or give, project onto others. And so it's really interesting to look into and to see how we played into that, and um, how it's time to wake up to that now and to see like things that we haven't seen before. And so in part one, I was talking about sharing about anger and rage and instinct injury, and how the healing process and the birthing process, and the grieving process, yeah, can be very, very painful and feel very uncomfortable. But it doesn't have to be as, as painful as we believe it to be. It doesn't. We don't have to make it extra painful for ourselves either. And we can meet ourselves and we can meet our pain, and thank the pain for its messages that she has for us, and so we can reconstruct and we can do something with it, and redirect this energy, this unclaimed energy, and create something new, instead of like recycling through like our old patterns of pain and suffering. We can birth something new through this transmuted, transformed wound. And yeah, that's just a little bit of, yeah, what I had to add to that. And I did read a little bit from Clarissa Pinkola Estes' Women Who Run with the Wolves. Um, it was on rage, like the marking territory, the boundaries of rage and forgiveness. And this is what this story is from. And I saw it for the first time a couple months ago, and exactly when I needed it. And I flipped it open today to that page, and I want to share it today with you. And I think it's a pretty great story. It's a short story. The Withered Trees. There was a soul whose very bad temper had cost him more wasted time and loss of good friends than any other element in his life. He approached an old wise man in rags and asked, "How can I ever bring this demon of rage under control?" The old man instructed the younger man to post himself at a parched oasis far off in the desert and to sit there among all the withered trees and to draw up the brackish water for any traveler who might venture there. And the man, trying to overcome his rage, rode out to the desert to the place of the withered trees. For months, garbed in robes and burnous against the flying sand, he drew the sour water and gave it to all who approached. Years passed, and he suffered no more fits of temper. One day a dark rider came to the dead oasis and gave a haughty glance down at the man who offered him water from a bowl. The rider scoffed at the clouded water, refused it, and began to ride on. The man offering water was immediately enraged, so much so he was blinded by it, and seizing the rider down from his camel, killed him on the spot. Oh la! He was immediately aggrieved that he had been consumed by such rage, and look what it had come to. Suddenly up rode another rider at great speed. The rider looked down upon the visage of the dead man and exclaimed, "Thank Allah, you have killed the man who is on his way to murder the king." And at that moment the cloudy water of the oasis turned clear and sweet, and the withered trees of the oasis blushed green and burst into joyous bloom. We understand this tale symbolically. It is not a tale about killing people. It is a teaching about not unleashing anger indiscriminately, but at the right time. The tale begins when the man learns to give out water, life, even under drought conditions. To give out life is an innate impulse in most women. They are very good at it most of the time. However, there is also a time for the gust from the gut, a time for righteous anger, rightful rage. Many women are sensitive the way sand is sensitive to the wave, the way trees are sensitive to the quality of air, the way a wolf can hear another creature step into her territory from over a mile away. The splendid gift of women, so attuned as to see, hear, sense, receive, and transmit images and ideas and feelings with lightning speed. Most women can feel the slightest change in someone else's temperament, can read faces and bodies, this being called intuition, and often from a plethora of tiny clues that coalesce to give her information. She knows what is on their minds. In order to use these wild gifts, women remain open to all things, but it is this very openness that leaves their boundaries vulnerable, thereby exposing them to injuries of spirit. Like the man in the withered trees story, a woman may face the same issue to greater or lesser degrees. She may carry a form of scattershot rage that compels her to pick, or use coldness like an anesthesia, or give out sweet words while meaning to punish or demean. She may force her own will on those who are dependent on her, or she may threaten them with severance of relationship or affection. She may withhold praise or even the giving of credit where credit is due, and in general act quite instinct injured. It is a given that a person who treats others in this manner is under intensive attack in her own psyche by a demon who does exactly the same to her. Many a woman so afflicted decides to embark on a cleanup campaign and resolves not to be petty anymore, to be nicer, to be more giving. This is worthy and often a relief to those around her, as long as she does not become over-identified with being a giving person like the man in the story. She is out in the oasis, and by serving others, he begins to feel better and better. So he is out in the oasis, and by serving others, he begins to feel better and better. He becomes identified with the evenness yet flatness of his life. So too, a woman who avoids all confrontation begins to feel better, but this is temporary. This is not the learning we are after. The learning we are after is to know when to allow right anger and when not. The tale is not about striving for gentle sainthood. It is about knowing when to act in an integral and wild manner. Most of the time, wolves avoid confrontation, but when they must enforce territory, when something or someone constantly hounds them or corners them, they explode in their own powerful way. This happens rarely, but the ability to express this anger is within their repertoire, and it should be within ours too. There has been much speculation that an angry woman is awesome in her power to cause fear and trembling in those around her. But that is far too much projection of the viewer's personal angst for any woman to justly carry. In her instinctual psyche, a woman has the power, when provoked, to be angry in a mindful way. That is powerful. Anger is one of her innate ways to begin to reach out to create and preserve the balances that she holds dear, all that she truly loves. It is both her right and at certain times and in certain circumstances a moral duty. For women, this means there is a time to reveal your incisors, your powerful ability to defend territory, to say this far and no farther. The buck stops here, and hold on to your hat. I've got something to say, and this is definitely going to change. Like the man in the beginning of the withered trees, and like the warrior in the crescent moon bear, many women often have within them a tired out, battle fatigued soldier who just doesn't want to hear it anymore, doesn't want to talk about it, doesn't want to deal with it. A parched oasis in the psyche rises up because of this. This is, without or within, always an area of great silence, just waiting for, just begging for a roaring to take place, a breaking, shattering, shaking something that will create life again. The man in the story is initially taken back by his deed of killing the rider, yet when he understands that, in that instance, first thought, right thought applied, he is released from the too simple rule of never be angry. As in the Crescent Moon Bear, enlightenment does not occur during the deed itself. It occurs once illusion is destroyed and one gains insight into the underlying meaning. Yeah. So, yeah, that's freaking awesome to contemplate that story and those words of wisdom. So, overly identified. What are we overly identified with? Are we overly identified with being a survivor? Are we overly identified with being a victim? Are we overly identified with being a saint or a peacemaker? Are we overly identified with being a caregiver? Yeah. Are we overly identified with being the black sheep? Are we overly identified with being the weirdo? Are we overly identified with like our stories and our roles that we've been taught to play, or that we played to meet some of our survival needs, and like playing into those survival strategies? And yeah, that is what I was just talking about in part one, about like breaking through, and then and also breaking open, breaking through those illusions. And oh man, I lost my train of thought. What was it? Yes, how we can become tired and fatigued, and how we can use so much energy carrying around like this rage when it's actually past that time, to do something with it, to reconstruction, to reconstruct, to change something, to use it, instead of like to keep it burning, like, because then it burns our own energy away. And so, yeah, a light ash rather than a burning fire after a certain point, you know. And so, yeah, that's pretty perfect for me to receive, and I think it goes along well with what I'm asking to receive, and that responsibility and communication and behavior from Siegel medicine. And so there was a reading that I did, a tarot reading that I did on February 4th, and I just want to share a couple things, and then how it relates to what is next for me to address and to acknowledge and to start speaking about the shadow. And a part of me has been scared of doing that, because I don't know how it's going to be received, and been worried about how do I speak about that, how do I explain that, how do I deliver that, you know, and how do I do it in a pleasing way? And it's just like, that's funny. It doesn't need to be pleasing, and it doesn't need to be okay. Like, it gets to just be what it is, and it's just love that I get to choose for me, and a call that I'm answering that's coming from through my soul. And just worried and in fear about getting it wrong sometimes, and making mistakes and not saying the right thing, or and kind of like in certain ways, like the old manipulations, like how do I manage this perception of me or my message or my story. but I don't need to, because certain people, like, yeah, there are those that if they've experienced something, there's no explanation that's necessary. And for others, if they haven't experienced, no explanation will do. So it's just like, let it be and let it come through. Um, yeah, and so yeah, I've been wanting to talk about the shadow a lot, and bring it into the light of awareness, and so the whole can be honored and integrated and harmonized, and transmuted, transformed, and realized. And some of those things, yeah, about the shadow, like that I want to talk about, um, are like some of those structures of control, and what, like, domination and control, like how those systems work and how they operate and how they've been inverted to pervert and distort, like, our ways of seeing and our ways of being and our ways of showing up in the world. And yeah, it's for control, to control our minds, to control how we see ourselves, and how we believe, what we believe about ourselves. And that does influence our behavior and influences what drives us, and yeah, in certain ways. So it's good to become aware of all those things. But there are, like, if it's microcosm, macrocosm, everything has a shadow. We all have a shadow. There's the personal shadow and there's the collective shadow. And it's kind of interesting to see it through a personal lens and an impersonal lens. And there's, yeah, the shadow of the individual and the shadow of the whole, the collective. There's a shadow of different institutions. There's a shadow of, like, different belief systems. There's a shadow of religion. And we've seen that shadow emerge, and we've seen it, like, brought out into the light in certain ways, where there's been abuses and trauma that's been able to perpetuate itself through those control systems. And I'm not saying that everyone who goes through, like, or is in those, like, experiences those same things, but that shadow is there, and we've seen it. Like, we know about, like, the sexual abuse with the Catholic Church and with other churches and with other organizations. Like, there's the charity organizations, there's a definite shadow there that's actually contributing to, like, what's causing, like, the same problems of poverty consciousness, and trauma and abuse, and, like, keeps recycling through, like, those same patterns of pain and suffering through that domination and control. And the remedy for that is love. And shame is the poison, love is the remedy. And so we get to reclaim our own shadows, and we get to look at our own shadows. We get to bring it into the light of awareness. First, we need to acknowledge and admit to ourselves that there is a shadow, and that some of the shadows that we have seen have been our own shadows that we've been projecting. And so, but it is pretty simple, but it can be seen as complicated as well. But it's all about, like, these structures of control and these agencies that we've given our power away to. It's about revolving door politics, and what does that serve, and special interest groups and greed, and money, like, and usurping control. Yeah, usurping control for the benefit, for the gain, yeah, of the very few versus the whole. It's the shadow side of the media and the systems of control. It's mind control, programming, imprinting, conditioning, repeating, memory, descriptions, images, words, emotions, the exploitation, indoctrination, manipulation, weaponized technologies, technocracy, government, corporation, inversion, and distortion through our core belief systems, and social psychology and hierarchies. So it's the false light, false idols, and false values and virtues, and what we've been told, like, all the lies we've been told. And So how are we playing at being the virtuous victim? What power are we giving away, denying, forgetting, rejecting, or unclaiming? Like, what power is it that we haven't claimed or that we haven't allowed ourselves to claim? I observe letting go of judgments, agendas, identities, stories, and roles, letting go of beliefs and lies I've been told. Hero, judge, whore, scapegoat, sacrificial lamb, martyr, victim, savior stories. All I've ever known. All we've ever been taught and told. So rather than like reinforcing like those victim stories, can we choose another way? And can we tell other stories that are true and more aligned with who we really are, with universal truth? So, empowerment, encouragement, and emanation, self development, individuation, self discovery, self realization, self love, self knowing, self care, self respect, self ownership. Can we allow ourselves and can we see our own worth? Can we value ourselves? Can we value our lives? Can we value our own life instead of needing to justify? Can we begin to self realize with real eyes? Can we speak from our hearts and can we open our minds? Can we realize all the real lies? So a couple weeks ago, I asked myself some questions and I did share my video, what my questions were. And then later I decided to do a reading with those questions. Like, is all this self-righteous tyranny justified? Are we serving life and saving lives by removing livelihood, natural expression, interaction, and human connection from the equation? Are free speech, free will, free choice, free thought, and free mind so very dangerous to a sick society and the status quo? They're dangerous to shaky belief systems and our fragile, tiny egos, and the system of domination and control. And so let's see. Asked what would it take, for us to wake up to some of these things that we've been asleep to. And is it going to happen? Are people actually going to wake up? Like, what's going to happen here? So this is what I got from my reading, and I did a Celtic cross spread, which is like a really ancient old spread. And I just got that from my mystical tarot book and just kind of picked a few spreads that I wanted to play around with and practice with. And that's what I chose to do, was to just play with that spread. And I got some interesting reading and some messages that came through. And there was 10 cards. And it's pretty interesting, like the different positions and what they represent and everything. I don't think I'll go into all that right now, but I'll just share some of the highlights and some of the things that seemed important and potent messages for me to receive. And so what I did with this reading was I just took the cards from the major arcana and used those, the 22 archetypes. And so my reading said, big changes, transformations, revelations, shakeups, wake-ups, breakthroughs, opportunities and clarity, learning, transitioning, doors opening, continuity, endings, and new beginnings. So the first card that represented the influences covering and surrounding was the sun. And that was just, right after Imbolc, with the new life, new light, new love coming in and coming through. So being born again, being born through this rebirth of spring and this new life bringing this new life into our awareness, our reality, our present moment. And so the sun was, the cover, the influences that cover and surround. And so a new source of love and light and life, new beginnings, renewal, hope and joy, wonder and miracles. And what else can I say? The hermit, the crossing, was the energy that might be the opposing forces for positive or negative. And it's That was the hermit. Go within, look from within, to navigate and seek, to see clearly, be still and listen. Withdraw from the world, gaze inward, awaken to the light of inner wisdom. Prepare ourselves for answers that will come, open to new thoughts, ideas, and possibilities. Develop the link to our unconscious, our shadow, our unseen self, to bridge and build bridges to higher realities. We are not alone. We are all one, united in spirit. Be at peace. Embrace the mystery. Enjoy the path of self discovery, quiet time and solitude, inner looking and penetration, new visions. And the foundation that was surrounding, or that relates to this question, the foundation of it, that was the death card. And so, death, cleansing, a clearing of the old growth and transformation, great change. Death is necessary for rebirth to take place. Letting go, purging, releasing, and continuing. From death comes new beginnings. It's the revitalizing force. We're making room for the new. We're casting off old ideas, old beliefs and attachments, roles, old ways of being, old ways of operating. So embrace new challenges. Death symbolizes the immortality of our lives while we live them. New doors will always open. We can grow in new directions. Liberated from our past selves, look forward to the changes and new adventures, opportunities, gifts about to begin. So that's positive. Like, we kind of look at the death card like, oh, it's a tragedy and it's the worst thing. Like, but really, it's actually a gift, because, yeah, death gives that gift so that life can be, and life can grow, and life can be sustained, life can be nurtured and reclaimed. And so, what has passed? Number 4 was the Chariot. So what has fallen away, or what is passing away? And it's like the old ego needs for success, for that worldly success, or what we've been taught that looks like success and recognition, like that for the ego, worldly accumulation of possessions, and to dominate, to win. So remember our past successes so we can rise above stresses and confront our challenges, these new challenges, to move forward. Self-discipline, self-mastery, focus, the power of will, keep goals in sight, and let go of the past. So charge ahead with determination. Yeah. So that was pretty awesome right there. And number 5 was the Tower. What may come to pass. And so, yeah, the Tower is card number 16, which is like the collapse of the old systems. And it's not like a disaster necessarily either, but it can feel like that. And when everything does collapse, and it does feel like it's just this big old mess, and everything like that we ever knew is gone, and yeah, it's rebuilding from scratch. So, but it also is about breaking free of the prisons that we've held ourselves in. So breaking free, knocking down the walls that imprison us. It's not a subtle change. It's a major transformation in our lives. Be ready to welcome in some light, clarity, enlightenment, even if it descends with the fury of a lightning bolt, the process of transformation itself. Change is happening, and new doors are opening, and we are walking through those new doors. You are ready to break free. Change is unexpected, even when we hope for it. Like it or not, ready or not, change is happening right before our eyes, and the outcome is likely to be good because it's something that we want. Stop hiding, welcome, and invite the change. Inspiration, breakthroughs, surrender, receptivity, sudden insights, clarity, and illumination. Light that helps us to open our eyes to the wonders and mysteries of the world. So that's what may come to pass. Yeah. And so in a way, it's looking like, yeah, it's all happening. Like, it's just unfolding. And so I felt like this one was like very, very potent card for me to pay attention to and to look into and explore. It is number 14, Temperance. And it was what must be faced, what we must face. And it was in the reverse. So it was lack of control and structure. We're not comfortable with what's facing us. It doesn't feel right. It isn't comfortable. We're facing the unknown and to stretch our comfort zones and let go of old habits, masks, weights, let go of old beliefs, judgments, distractions, agreements, and energy drains. Let them go. Let them fall away. Be recycled or dissolved, offered back, composted, transmuted, transformed, for life to be renewed and regenerated. And so, the temperance card. I'm going to meditate on the temperance card this week. And this is what I wrote down about the temperance card. Implies great self-knowledge. The more that we know about ourselves, the easier it is to find balance between our wants, our needs, our strengths, and our weaknesses, our likes, our dislikes, as well as how we function in different situations. We are not the same all the time. The middle way, flexibility, accommodation for change and possibility. Compromise, cooperate, find what fits, and be happy. Remember that you're in control, calling the shots, you're making the choices. Yeah, it's up to you what you want to choose, what you want to experience. You can choose what's best for you. Work with others to create rewarding, enriching, fulfilling life experiences. Our relationships help us, and our partnerships help us balance our strengths and our weaknesses to develop our medicine gifts. So I thought that was pretty awesome. And then I'll just go through some of these next ones with just quickly. The Fool was in the position of what I feel, and I'm ready to expand. I'm ready to open. I feel excitement, and I am ready to trust. I'm willing to trust. I feel the adventure and all of the possibilities. All things are possible. I'm committed to this journey. I'm not weighed down. I'm liberated. Find out for yourself. So take the plunge and follow your heart. Listen to the inner call, the power of the imagination, innocence, desires and dreams, love, vision. Envision love, and love envisions. The Hanged Man was so about what others are thinking, about me, or my situation or the situation. So the Hanged Man, what others think. Be brave and suspend by choice. Have confidence and believe in yourself. Others may scorn, but we know we will learn and will grow and will reap the benefits. This is hindsight, insight, faith, and destiny. Give self to the process of life entirely. It represents a break with the past, a willingness to turn the world over, to take a fresh look at things from a new angle or a new vantage point. This card implies nonconformity. Things are in suspense, transition between stages of life and death, the known and unknown, ready to face what awaits us. We're ready to face what awaits us. Sometimes we need to cut ourselves off from everything we know, or the known, or our comfort and our comfort zones, and open to the mysteries of the world. The Hanged Man does what he thinks is right, not what others tell him. A stage of development where we have grown more sure of ourselves. We know we can overcome challenges we face, and we put ourselves to the test. And so, what others think. It's just like, others don't really get it right now, and that's okay. Not everybody understands, not everybody gets it. And sometimes when we are speaking the truth in a world that's been built on lies, what we have to say sounds like we're from Neptune. And there is a quote by Noam Chomsky. He said that freaking because of all the disinformation in the world, someone who actually is speaking a genuine truth is seen like they're from Neptune. And it's just okay. So I've always been seen as a weirdo. I've always felt like a weirdo, and I've always been a little weird. So it's just that's nothing new. So I guess I just get to play the weirdo, really, and just let them think I'm weird. And if that's the worst possible thing in the world, to be weird, that's not too fucking weird. So anyways, it's just just let them think what they think, and suspend and release and be open to these new changes, these new beginnings, and these new possibilities. And we can put ourselves to the test, and we can let go, because the truth stands on its own. So the Emperor was number 9, what I want, what you want. All the answers are available and accessible, ordered, structured, and laid out. Wouldn't that be nice? Stability and stabilizing influences. Just kind of, I think all of this can relate in certain ways to to craving that stability and to craving like certain structure, even though that was like one of the things that I railed against the hardest was like structure, because sometimes I felt like the structures like could help in certain ways, but then they became too rigid. And it's just like, yeah, getting into certain habits when we go into autopilot and stuff, where like some of our tools that help liberate us can actually bind us in certain ways, dominate and control us if we like attach to them, and like prop them up as like the only dogma that has validity, or yeah, has any kind of substance to it or truth to it. It can actually become our new prisons, like what helps to liberate in the beginning, yeah, sometimes ceases to work for us. So there's those things to look at, in those ways, because yeah, certain structures can become rigid, and then that's like when they collapse. So but, so this is about like preservation and restraining influences. Restraining influences can show us the need for change and renewal, new growth, new rules, new ways as we go. We're learning as we go. So try something new. So yeah, and I've been nudged to do that like just so many times in the last month or so. Like it's time to try new things. It's trying to try new things and to take a different action to create something new. And then the last card was the Magician, the resolution, which I thought was pretty cool. So the Magician is the creative power that we have to create meaning and purpose in our lives. It's always in reach, both within and around us. So open yourself to the creative power and the purpose, and yeah, create all of that. The creative power that we have. Open yourself to this. Open yourself to the forces. Open yourself to the forces surrounding you, the life-giving powers, the power of creation, the powers of creation. Draw them to yourself to transform yourself into whatever you wish to be. What do you want to create and contribute to? The Magician represents a more structured way of life. He believes there is a formula for every situation. Learn through trial and error, experience, adventure, magic, powers of observations to expand awareness of how things operate or work together in the world for co-creators. Learning the basic structures underlying all things, as well as the patterns, cycles, rhythms that exist in the world. Always something to learn, self-reliance, self-confidence, stepping into our power, laser focus, playing our parts, our roles, and sharing what we've learned. So yeah, the Magician, that's our focus and our power of attention and our power of intention and our power to command and our power to choose, our power to change, our power to create through those intentions, attentions, and how we direct this energy, this creative energy. And so we can choose what we want to create. It doesn't matter what anyone else chooses, what's going on the outside. We get to choose. And if it's in harmony with the laws of creation, like there isn't anything we can't do. So, damn Skippy, what a delightful practice in reading. Positive and affirming. We are the creators, we are supported, and we are being offered and given all we need to change, transform, and create a new reality. To dream a new dream, doors are opening. New beginnings, transitions, endings. Changes are happening, taking new shapes, new forms, new growth, and structures are coming, are falling into place. Different phases and stages of awakening and remembering. We're learning as we go, letting go of the old, breaking through, breakthroughs, new possibilities. Enjoy life, face fears, embrace limitations, balance, harmony through our relationships, and new awareness. New confidence in ourselves and in our abilities, courage, trust, faith, grace. We are changing and awakening. Follow your heart and listen to the whispers of your soul. We are showing up committed, devoted, determined. Strength and wisdom are available to draw from now. And so, yeah, I thought that was pretty awesome. Little reading that I got to choose to practice and play with. And yeah, that was like my first attempt at giving myself a reading when I hadn't done that for years and years and years. I've been using tarot for meditation and to familiarize myself and learn like some of the archetypes and learn about those qualities of those archetypal energies and learn about the fool's journey and yeah, all of that wisdom that the tarot holds. And Yeah, here's temperance because I'm nudged to, share this temperance card. And let's see what the mystical tarot says about this archetypal energy and this suggestion for meditation with the temperance card. The temperance card is more a state of mind and thought than anything else. It is symbolic representation of a merging of all forces in our lives that influence our daily activities, our likes and dislikes, our success and failures, what we want and what we have. By meditating with the temperance card, we have the chance to see our life from its total perspective. We see all the forces that come into play and how they affect us, how they define our personalities and how they color our thoughts, how they make us what we are or prevent us from becoming what we want to be. A meditation with the temperance card is a passive experience. We do not use these opportunities to judge ourselves or make conclusions. Rather, we are only interested in taking the temperature of our inner self. We want to know if all the ingredients are there to ensure that we are in harmony, that equilibrium reigns in our life. I usually meditate on an image of myself as I think I appear to others. I accept this image with all of its negatives as well as positives. I try to visualize myself functioning in different situations at home, at work, when I'm happy and when I'm sad. I want to learn about my strengths and identify my weaknesses. I am seeking knowledge about myself that I can apply to making myself a better person. Maybe instead of better, I would say a more authentic person. Yeah. A more real person, more true. Yeah. More full, whole. Yeah. Being. Ultimately, if I can apply what I learned from these meditations, I can make changes that will help me grow and become the person I want to be. I'll have a better understanding of life and how to live it in harmony. I'll be able to make wiser choices because I'll know better. I'll know myself better and have a stronger fix on what's right for me. Also, meditations with this card can remind us of the basic virtue of temperance. Living in equilibrium brings peace and a greater sense of self-worth to our lives. Living in harmony causes pain, discomfort, and self-doubt. So I thought that was interesting because it's like what needs to be faced. And so I'm willing to look into that a little more and explore that a little more. And so what gets to be faced? And I have been, working with my fears and been willing to confront those and face those and address those and know that it's okay to be afraid and feel the fear and show up and do it anyway. And that's what I'm doing. Because, that's what I'm called to choose. That's what I'm called, to do. My soul is asking me to. And so, just adding my voice to the symphony of voices and encouraging others to as well, to add their voices, because all of our voices are legitimate, needed, and our experiences and our stories are valid. And our love and our power is legitimate, and our shadow, let's reclaim that and integrate that power that we haven't been able to claim. And let's break through those illusions and those distortions and let go of those old identities and attachments and roles that no longer serve us and that burn up our own energy. Because what becomes adaptive in the child becomes maladaptive in the adult. And so it is funny that the same force that liberates is the same force that binds. And maybe look into that a little bit too, like where we can get in our own ways sometimes, and what originally works in the beginning ceases to work in the same way or for all situations, And so it's a time to operate more consciously and just to observe and allow and be open to receive healing and the messages that our souls have for us for this new integration, for self-development and self-discovery and self-knowing, self-realization. And so, thanks for listening. today. And yeah, we'll just see where it goes from here and what we can create. And thanks for being here and being you and participating and doing your work and playing, playing with we and me and playing at being and being playing and receiving. So what can we create, and what do we desire, and what do we want, and what do we need, and what can we contribute? What can we choose today? What can we manifest? What can we dream? What can we birth through our being? What can we let go of? What can we allow? What can we forego, forbear, forget, forgive? So just wanted to offer and share all of that. So love and blessings. Thanks for listening. Be well. Take care of yourselves. Be love for yourself. Forgive yourself. All right. Peace to you.